and we're going to start out with Bruce Steinberg. Again, I'm not going to read his bio, but Bruce has been here read five times from different works. He writes some amazing fiction, really from the depths of his experiences, and that's given him the ability to imagine the experiences of other people and other characters. And he does just a fantastic job of bringing it all together into a novel. What he's reading from tonight is an excerpt from Chasing Godot. Bruce Steinberg, enjoy.
Before I explain the agent thing, I'd like to make a plug. My son's jazz band concert is going to be Tuesday at St. Charles East. They are fantastic. It's free. St. Charles East, the Norris Center. Guys, they've got a guitar player that's out of this world. And the piano player, my son. So.
You can see videos of him on Facebook, right? If you friend Bruce
Well, if you're my friend, yeah. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Kevin. And I have learned that if either one of them make a suggestion on your writing, you better listen. Don't listen at your own peril. At the open mic last time, I talked about how, to get an agent. Once you get an agent, the work is not over. I have about 4 months of rewrites coming up. I got that agent because of Henriette. Feel free to look at the November 2015 reading before Henriette and I had an agent. Faye Atchison is specifically my agent with the Margaret McBride Agency. And she's wonderful, she's personable, and there was one telephone conversation where I told her I had to go. Imagine, I got to tell an agent I was busy. But she's very busy, and it's a very tough business. I'm grateful to have her. She said about Chasing Godot that there are many spots where it was funny and heartwarming and tender. The excerpt I have for you today is not any of that. Prozac will be needed. So presenting an excerpt from a full book is always a dangerous proposition because, you leave things out. But Anne and I talked about an intro, and very simply, picking an excerpt that explains why Godot is part of this novel and how a woman named Katie became Bird Woman. And so the summary I will give leading into it is, after preventing a man, Roger, from committing suicide, taking away his handgun, Katie faces her own demons. And this chapter is titled Katie. I wake up alone. Roger's clothes and car gone, but his suitcase is on the couch, and his laptop is left open and running on the table in the main room. When I touch its keypad, the screen flips awake with a message typed in large font. Left at 7, back by 8. The clock at the bottom of the screen shows 8:02. A gun lies on the floor beside the couch. The sight of it causes me to remember even before I pick it up, although remembering seems too weak a word, too inadequate. Some visions of the past cannot become memories to recall because they never go away from the present. They're always in front of me, whether my eyes are opened or closed, present, powerful, indelible. I will always see the fire. I will always see my mother and father tied to our dining room chairs, flames crawling over the floor to surround them, while my brother obeyed their commands and pulled me out of the house to safety. I will always see my limbs tied to a bed in Mullen Institute, still seeing my parents in the flames, thrashing until my energy was gone and I fell into a stupor, until one day when I awakened to find the orderly standing beside my bed with his arms at his sides. Thick blonde hair, blue eyes, his ageless face as pale as his orderly uniform. He was there to sweep the floor, empty garbage cans, check on tissue boxes, soap, and toilet paper roll. He had no business with me. When a nurse or technician or psychiatrist was in the room, he did his job and left. When we were alone, he added more indelible, never-gone visions of helplessness and outrage to the pile. The law would say what he did was not rape. I see it before me then and now, feeling otherwise. When he knew we were alone, he stood at my bedside, looking down, sometimes frowning, always talking. Just you wait, he says in urgent whispers. There will come a time. He stares at my body, just stands there and stares. His arms remain at his sides, hands relaxed, but his eyes pierce through my covers, my clothes, and show me what he wishes to do, what he's doing to me now in his mind. Just you wait, he says. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, soon. His eyes touch me, violate me, and fill with images of his plans. He must have known I had never talked at Mullen Institute. I wanted to talk then, to call out for help, to tell the next person to enter my room what he was doing, but I couldn't. Revealing I could talk meant bringing others to my bedside. All of them would want me to say something, anything, about what happened to my house, to Mom and Dad, to my baby sister. People would demand the conversations, to know how I was feeling, my brother and the psychiatrist especially, but the nurses too, and everybody who said they cared and worried about me. How the goddamn hell could I ever find words to put what my eyes saw and have never stopped seeing? Screams my ears hear, heat my skin feels, smoke my nose smells, even the taste of the smoke. The holocaust of the charred remains of my family and home, so acrid on my tongue, in my throat and lungs. I damn anyone who thinks there can be such words, or that I should ever dare try to find them. The orderly in the white uniform knows. He appears at my bedside, keeps saying in low whispers what he's going to do to me. Maybe now, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, watching me tied to my bed, my mouth silent for a time that felt like an eternity. Only when the police officer comes with the yellow and white parakeet do I discover my ability to speak other words, describing other things on the opposite side of the world of my tragedy. I speak because this parakeet listens and says only, "Pretty Katie, I love pretty Katie." The bird asks nothing of my past and offers me a possible future. With this bird, I find my voice to thank the man who brought her to me, to forgive him for what he had said at the fire about smoke and angels, to trust him enough to tell him of the ageless man in white orderly clothes who then banishes my tormentor from this room and all of Mullen Institute. I knew Beckett's play and had read it over and over until the book's binding came undone. Why, I had wondered, do these men spend their days saying and doing meaningless things while expecting their futures to show up? Why didn't they realize their lives would never change as long as they remained where they were? It was more than a bird this police officer gave to me, more than my voice and a possible future. This bird taught me I was not much different from those waiting men, unaware they would wait forever. I call out to Parakeet, saying Godot for the first time. Still tied to my bed, I chase after my future by accepting that all my visions are too potent to become memories. I will no longer pretend that time has the power to change them into the past. Instead, I stare my visions down and then turn my back on them, knowing they will always be there, still present, but behind me. Godot, I say, feeling triumphant, I've caught you. And Godot says, pretty Katie, I love pretty Katie. Nurses soon loosen the straps that bind me to this bed and then take them away for good. I ignore their questions about my past until they give up. But I do talk of my future with Godot. After a year with Godot at my bedside, the two of us are released from Moen Institute together. I've lived over 12 years in my sanctuary with my birds, including a red-tailed hawk who became my second Godot, the first buried beneath a wildflower garden in my sanctuary's backyard. I've worn layers of clothes, the pale blue colors I know my father was fond of, hiding my youth beneath them while I aged with my visions at my back. Sometimes they'd sneak around, but I could still stare them down and put them in their place while I looked forward. A happy enough existence, a good enough life, until a trooper, son of the police officer who rescued me from a life at Moen Institute, came along. Trooper Bacchus just couldn't bring himself to shut up. He was a tidal wave, a moving wall, pushing me along because he had to figure something out about himself, and took me along with him as though he knew we could cure each other of our doubts. Didn't he know I was fine the way I was? Did he have to bring me to that house, to the people inside who removed my costume and made me look at a future I had lost in the fire? All this new doubt causes me to no longer believe I've kept my visions at my back, and, even worse, that I can no longer stare them down. Instead, I see them and blink, sensing they may have a purpose I've never understood until now. They show me that I didn't escape death by the strength of my parents' will and my brother's arms just to end up living the way I do. Trooper Bacchus forced me to question whether I have caught and possessed my future at all, that perhaps I haven't yet reached the end of my journey. Inside my sanctuary, I'm like those thoughtless, silly men, doing and saying thoughtless and silly things, still stuck in place, waiting forever for Godot.